From 9th place on the starting grid to 22nd place in the sand trap, all the way up to the podium. This was one of my most fun races that I have done so far in Forza Motorsport. And today I'm going to take y'all along with me so y'all can see why this race was so much fun. But before the race gets started, we're going to go through a little bit of practice because I want to talk about the car a little bit. Now, this is the main car that I have been using in the Forza GT races, and it is the BMW M8 GTE. And I know that it's not the quote-unquote best car for this series. I know it's not the meta. The main meta, of course, being the R8. But honestly, this car is just more fun to drive, in my opinion. And I've done a little bit of a tune on it. Not too much, nothing too crazy. I kind of vary the tune a little depending on what track we're going to. But the main thing that I did for Maple Valley was I just turned the downforce pretty much all the way up, and I added just a tiny bit more toe out in the front to give it extra aggressive turn-in response. And well, let's just say I had a couple of moments in practice, but as long as we don't have those in the main race or in qualifying, it's not really a big deal, right? But the problem with that is that this was qualifying, and, well, let's just say I kind of scrapped this lap and decided to think about it in my brain as if it was just a normal practice lap and not a qualifying lap, so decided to kind of toss this one and just use it for practice. Now, you may notice that I did decide to qualify on mediums as opposed to softs, and that's kind of because I was okay with qualifying mid-pack. I wanted to get a little bit of decent racing action in, and there's a difference between, at least for me, there's a difference between my mood when I really want to like make sure to qualify high, and so I qualify on softs, and then there's other moods that I get in where I'm like, okay, well, maybe I want just some more racing action, so I'll leave the mediums on and I'll qualify mid-pack. Now, again, everybody's qualifying strategy is a little bit different, but the mediums were the strategy I decided to use for this race. And when my laps were done, I ended up qualifying P5, although I think in the final standings I got knocked down to about P9, but from there, it was time to go ahead and head on to the actual race. Now, right off the bat, it looked like it was going to be actually a fairly decent start. However, things got a little bit iffy rather fast because I saw the green Porsche over there on the right, and I was like, oh no, I need to give you room. And I ended up giving way too much room, driving off into the sand trap, went down to 22nd place, and was like, okay, well, this is gonna be basically a back to front of the grid challenge now. Now, a bunch of people went off into the sand trap on the right, and let me just say, also completely unrelated, well, semi-related note, Maple Valley at night is so good. Maple Valley at night is amazing. Also, no idea what that line was other than the fact that it was horrible. I made some really stupid mistakes on this first lap. However, thankfully, I was able to kind of clean things up leading into the rest of the race. So I didn't really deal with too much of that, although I did deal with some of it. Now, we got really close to that R8 right there, and we did just bump them a little tiny bit, but I think that that was, you know, respectful enough, and I made sure not to like press into the side of their car. I was like, you know what, you can have that and I'll just take it on the next corner. And then this KTM on the left, I was like, okay, well, we'll work our way around you. They decided to turn into me, and so I had to kind of back off just a hair and not stay on the throttle to not get spun around. And then they came back again because they really were all up over the back of my car for a bit. And then there was chaos up ahead of me, bunch of cars spinning all over the place. The Lamborghini drives right into the side of my car, pushes me wide, and I almost go into the wall, went for an excursion, mowed some grass, and then now I was like, okay, well, I'm back in the top 10 again. Let's see if we can maybe claw back some of the results that we lost on the first lap. Because keep in mind, we're now in 7th place, and we started on the grid in 9th, got knocked down to 22nd, and made all of those positions back up solely by pretty much not going off the track. Now, since we're just kind of chilling in 5th place right now, I think I'll take this moment, or rather little miniature opportunity, to answer some of the comments I've gotten. And by the way, I did the same stupid thing that I did in practice. I tried to extend the line out towards the outside. put my outside tires into the grass and lost a fair bit of time actually against this Ferrari for a bit. So don't do what I do on that corner, apparently. I'm like, oh, I'm going to extend this corner a whole bunch and get a really good dive. And I'm like, no, you can't extend the track past where the track exists. Anyway, gonna take this moment now as we make our way past the Ferrari to talk about a lot of the comments that I've been getting lately, specifically about the cat girl. Now, the cat girl in question was made, it was literally art that I had done actually years ago, and I don't remember how many years ago it was, but it was done by a really good friend of mine based out of Australia who has a sticker shop called spiritwings.au, and you can find them on Instagram, and of course you can also find their shop through their Instagram. However, I don't know if they're taking commissions right now or not, whether, you know, if you're interested in something like that, you'd have to look and see, but they did an amazing job on the artwork itself, and who knows, I might actually be able to get something done by them again in the future. And of course, ever since I've shown her in some of my videos, I've gotten some comments that are like, wait, you're trans and you're a furry now? Oh, this is just too much. But moving on from that exchange, we're going to make a massive dive on that C8R and take the position for third, putting us up here on the podium. Now, the two leaders at this point in the race were so far ahead that it became, well, one of those scenarios where I was like, okay, this is more of a race about defending third than it is a race about catching first or second, because we're talking about people that are, you know, 15, 16 and a half seconds ahead. Not that you couldn't take those positions, but that it would be, let's just say, fairly optimistic to actually think about going for those positions. Realistically, you're only probably going to take those positions if both of them crash out, and I wasn't really, you know, gonna bank on that. So I decided, you know what? I'm on the podium now, and I'm just gonna defend third as best I can. We're gonna run the best race that we can at this point, and let's just see what we can do. Now, this is where, once again, it was just about turning laps in this M8 GTE, which, to be fair, if you're gonna turn laps in something in this class, in this game, for me, I love turning laps in this car. I could sit and just turn laps in this car over and over and over, because even if I'm not racing anybody else, it's just honestly a really fun car to drive. And I know that there's people out there that don't like this car, they don't like driving it, and that's entirely fine. Everybody's got different tastes when it comes to cars and the way they drive. But either way, this is one that in this class has really, really attracted me and has really been a car that I've just wanted to main over and over and over again. It's like, I always want to race this thing. I don't know why, it just happens to be the car that I always want to jump into. And luckily at this point, we've been able to put a pretty decent lead on fourth place with another lap to go. And so at this point, we're pretty much just, once again, holding on to this position. Now, the intense racing was pretty much over at this stage, and it was a little bit more about just trying to keep my line as consistent as possible, and also trying to just stay as consistent as I could at night, because there's a lot of really dark areas on this track at night. And I didn't realize how little lighting this track had during the night. I mean, pretty much the only actual like trackside lighting you have is on the start finish straight and also here in the first corner. And then after that, things get really freaking dark. But as we make our way around the final lap, let me know in the comments down below if you have, number one, been having fun in Forza Motorsport, and two, if you've been playing more multiplayer or more single player or trying to have like a mixture of the two. I have been finding that I've actually been spending most of my time with the game in multiplayer because honestly, I really enjoy a lot of the, I really enjoy a lot of the new gameplay mechanics. I enjoy the qualifying, I enjoy the practice, I enjoy the new tire compounds a lot. I enjoy the way the game feels now, especially, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that only play games like this on a wheel, but there has been so much progress made in the controller feel as well, and I really think that they have done a wonderful job not only making the racing better, but also making the cars feel better. And for all of the flack that the game has gotten over the, I would say the course of the past time since its release, I mean, yes, I know that this game has its flaws, and sure, those are not, we definitely shouldn't ignore those flaws, but I think that we also need to appreciate, at least in my opinion, how well this game does certain things and how in some areas it's a big step forward for the Forza Motorsport series. So without any further ado, that is where we are going to finish this video. I hope y'all did enjoy. I had a blast in this race, and if y'all would like to see more Forza Motorsport on the channel, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see y'all next time.